Robert Kiyosaki joins us today from Phoenix, Arizona. Now, I know you give some fairly controversial advice, so let's get to one or two things. You say cash is trash. What do you mean by that?
Well, I said that about in 1981 I started saying that, and I got crucified for that. If you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I said your house is not an asset. And all my real estate friends, don't send me Christmas cards, or they hate me now for saying that. And I said savers are losers. And the reason for that is you look at the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States, they've printed more money in 2009 than they've printed in the first 100 years of existence. So every time the U.S. prints this counterfeit money called the U.S. dollar, it really robs you and I of our wealth. So savers are losers because, for every dollar the Fed prints, that means your dollar is worth less in savings. That means your labor is also less in savings. But it also means you'll pay more in taxes to pay the interest on that funny counterfeit money. And then you'll pay it again in higher inflation. As you notice, gold keeps going up. So that's why I say cash is trash. Simply because in Conspiracy of the Rich, I wrote about how in 1971, President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, which basically made all currencies, whether it be the yen or the euro or the shekel, it makes it worthless. They're not worth any money anymore. Well, they're just going down in purchasing power.
Yeah. That advice, spend, don't save, does it apply even when you look at the current economic situation, when you look at people who are really struggling to get their money out into their basic needs?
Yeah, it's really tragic. America had the lowest savings rate in the world, and then this crisis hit. Now they're the highest savings rate. And they're doing exactly opposite, and that's my whole point. If you knew what you were doing right now, I would be buying silver instead of trying to save dollars, because silver, for the first time in world history, if you knew, financial education is knowing a little bit of world history. Today, for the first time, there is more gold than silver on planet Earth. So gold's at $1,100. And silver's at 18. Well, silver's the biggest bargain on history. So I wouldn't be saving dollars. I would be shifting into silver or oil or gold.
I feel the market's moving as you say that. let me put a question to you that came in from a viewer in the USA. Linda Taylor in Michigan wrote in saying, "You can't be an expert in everything. May as well allow an expert to handle your finances." How do you feel about that when someone says, well, look, I want to trust someone else with my money?
Well, you got to ask yourself, is the person you're trusting your money a salesperson or a rich person? Most financial planners, and not, God bless them, but they're salespeople. They're not rich people. And the 401k, which most Americans invest in, or in Canada, the RRSP, or in Japan, the 401k, or the superannuation in Australia, they're the worst possible investment. You look at what Time magazine said just 2 months ago. They said the 401k was the biggest scam ever perpetrated upon the American public. And that was the cover of Time magazine. And I've been saying that all of these years. You look in 2002, I wrote Rich Dad's Prophecy, and I said the 401k was ripping people off. So what's happening is people are turning their money over to people they think are financial experts, and I question what an expert is, including myself. But are they salespeople, or are they really rich people? And that's the question I would ask.
It was interesting what you were saying about property and real estate, because I know you put quite a fair amount of emphasis on the real estate market as an investment tool. And I wonder, when you look at this, the fact that the real estate market was really responsible for much of the issues that certainly the Western hemisphere has faced in the recent economic downturn, how would you, have you changed your view on it at all?
No. If you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I always talk about cash flow. You see, as a professional investor, you have to know the difference between cash flow and capital gains. 90% of the people invest for capital gains. That's why they'll say, oh, my stock went up in price, or my house went up in value, or my net worth went up. I don't care if my prices go up and down. I only invest, 9% of the time I invest in property that sends me a check every single month. So in good times, I get the check every month. In bad times, I get a check every month. And that's called cash flow. Another point here is this. Capital gains on real estate is taxed very high, and cash flow can come in at zero. So that's really a little financial education. So I don't care if my house goes up or down, or my apartment buildings and my commercial buildings go up and down. Just send me my check every month. That's all I want.
Well, Robert Kiyosaki, we've got more questions for you. We're going to take a very short break here. Back with our discussion when we return. Don't go away. We'll be right back.